Everybody, welcome to Storm Talk. This is going to be a shorter version today. I'm filling in for Christy this morning, so there won't be an update for the afternoon. A couple things we want to talk about. First off, interesting stats came out from the Storm Prediction Center over the past 15 years, actually before that, 2000 to 2015. All the reported tornadoes that were taking place in the lower 48. Notice that every single state experienced a tornado, which has always been the case. I mean, we've always talked about how there is no immunity to tornado activity in the lower 48. In fact, any state, really, for the most part of the United States. That's what makes the United States very unique compared to the rest of the world when it comes to the ingredients of the Gulf of Mexico and the cold air attacks from the north and some dry air that gets funneled in as well from the desert southwest. The combination of all three of those really across this part of the country is the reason why there's so many tornadoes. So if you don't like tornadoes, you want to find somewhere to move to, it looks like you need to move into the mountains in Appalachia, or you need to head off to the West Coast and live in the mountains out here. Otherwise, you're going to be really hard-pressed to find any little blank spots here that you may be able to move into. There may be one there west of Breckenridge County. That's about it. So you can see that just how frequent tornadoes are across the country. I just wanted to share that with you guys for the report today. All right, today, speaking of, we do have some moisture that's been running in from the west aloft, and we got a south flow that's moving in, keeping us on the warm side underneath this cloud deck. That has allowed for some showers and even some thunderstorms this morning into Illinois that are now heading toward Indianapolis, and there's some lowering of the cloud deck. I've been watching the cameras in Paoli today all the way to Huber's Orchard and Winery, and I noticed the cloud deck has lowered some. So that is given a rise to potentially for a few raindrops that could fall from the cloud as moisture tries to increase. But you got to keep in mind, there's a lot of moisture over our heads right now. But here at the ground level, there is very dry air. So the atmosphere is not prime yet to really support raindrops in a widespread fashion. But it is, with that moisture flying overhead, it keeps us mainly cloudy. And the clouds can thin out enough to get some sun in here. And I think that will be the case off and on today. Here's a wider view, and it shows again the moisture really building here across Illinois, Missouri, and Indiana. This is going to be the zone that's going to see the rain chance on a daily basis this week. We are going to be here in wave country, right on the edge of that flow, the entire period here for the first part of the week especially. That's going to allow us to have clouds at times, but some breaks, but we get the benefit of that flow being on the warmer side of things when it comes to temperatures. But we're going to be just far enough east, it looks like, that we're going to avoid this moisture belt for about a 3-day period. Then after that, our luck probably will run out. Here's a look at the visible satellite. From space, you see a few areas where the clouds have thinned out across areas south of Louisville, not enough to see blue sky. There are more thinning areas to the west of this little moisture belt moving through. So again, we could see some sunshine off and on today, but the south wind's really going to be the main driver on temperatures. 62, in fact, in Paducah, 58 in Bowling Green, and it's 58 here in Louisville. All right, here's Futurecast for this afternoon. It'll take us with a good south flow all afternoon long. Depending on how much sun we can get through these clouds, will determine how warm exactly. Potential is still there to hit 70, but widespread 60s are more likely. Then for tonight, 50s are going to be more likely across wave country, and then as we head into the day tomorrow, I think we'll climb into the mid-70s. The models are showing that a mainly sunny sky will develop. Sorry, I'm tired, so I can't talk right today. I don't know how Christy does it. Anyway, the thinning of the clouds taking place across wave country could allow for a better chance for sunshine with that south wind tomorrow, and likely see some mid-70s. Now, the record high on Wednesday, by the way, is 79, and we may get close to that the way it's looking now. Now, as we head into the time period of Wednesday, that is when we're going to see that moisture belt get a little closer to us in wave country. It may not happen until late in the day, if not overnight Wednesday night. We may see some showers into Breckenridge County, Louisville, all the way through Carrollton, and areas north and west of that line. If you live south and east of Louisville, chances are you'll miss out on this rain entirely Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. Then once we get into Thursday, the models are a little different in how they're going to handle the front that's draped through the area. This is the Euro that drapes it like this. The GFS is trying to drape it more to the north. So the model is having a tough time figuring out how the position of the front. That will determine the moisture flow that comes out of the Gulf. This is the moisture is going to follow on the front. So the front drags itself in a more east-west fashion. We're going to be wet Thursday and parts of Friday, which is where I'm leaning the forecast right now. The GFS says the flow will be mainly north and west of our area, but I'm going to go with it being over Kentucky for now, and we'll fine-tune that as we get closer. And then we'll see the front fade out, and then we got to deal with the low pressure that's going to move in as we head into this weekend. That has not changed. That's still the thinking from last week. It's It's a broad area of low pressure, though, which means it's not going to rain the entire time. There would just be some passing showers and thunderstorms. I will say this. There's not a lot of potential here for severe weather in our area. There are pockets of gusty winds aloft, but I don't see anything that is raising my eyebrows at this point to say, okay, we need to watch this for severe weather. Yes, we've got some moisture. That is usually one ingredient we are lacking in some of these setups. We've got a tremendous amount of moisture this week. That's not the problem. We've got warm air. That's not a problem. The problem is being able to have more buoyancy to the atmosphere and some forcing to go on to create potential for thunderstorms that can become more robust. And at this point, just don't see it. The wind's aloft, fairly weak. That's why that low pressure is going to move so slow over the weekend. Heavy rain, yes, is a potential. I still think any type of flooding is going to be found again in that zone where the front does stall, and we'll see how this plays out as we get closer. It still looks like it's going to be mainly areas to the west and northwest of Louisville will pick up the heavier rain totals, especially in Arkansas and Louisiana. Here across Kentucky, it's going to be scattered activity, but notice the amounts really drop off south and east of Louisville itself. So 1 to 3 inches is what we're thinking at this point, but it looks to be spread out to where hopefully we can prevent flash flooding. However, river flooding may become an issue. We'll see how it plays out, especially if we get some heavy rain that breaks out upstream of the Ohio. We could see the Ohio begin to feel the effects of that by mid-month. We'll play it out later. So here's the setup, and we are expecting some changes as we get to the next couple of weeks. Very unusual cutoff low over Texas is allowing us to benefit from the warm flow and humid flow here in Kentucky and Indiana. But again, the jet stream is way up here. In fact, it's been producing severe weather this morning in Los Angeles. So the jet stream is up here, so that's why we're not talking about severe weather with this kind of a setup. Now, once we get into this week and early next week, there is going to be a trough that is going to try to dig down. This is the European ensembles. And it's showing how the trough tries to dig down, a good south flow, and we may squeeze out an 80-degree day with that kind of a flow after the weekend. And that's where I'm leaning toward. Now, there could be stronger storms, too, because we will have the jet closer to us, by the way, during this period. We'll wait and see how that plays out. And then as we head toward the first day of spring, then ensembles say it's going to be the coolest of the next 10 days. I would say that's ironic, but that's usually the way it goes around here. Not talking about snow or anything, but I do see at least some signs it is going to turn cooler and maybe colder by the first day of spring. The indices lining up that way as well. PNA trending positive. First day of spring is around the 20th of March. Trending positive, which would indicate a trough over the East Coast. The NAO is going negative, which means a blocking pattern is likely to develop, and EPO is going negative as well, showing the potential for the cold air over the eastern part of the country. So the indices line up, the teleconnections do, to produce some chillier air by the first day of spring, but warm air between now and then. So we'll see how it all plays out. So we'll take this day by day, but I think overall, if we get rain, we're talking about 60s for highs. If we don't get any rain, we're going to be in that 70 to 80 degree range the next 10 days. That's pretty much how the setup's going to be. All right, I'll have more on midday at 11 o'clock. And, of course, Kevin will be back with an update today, beginning on Way 3 News at 5 o'clock. No good guest question today, because I'll probably be asleep when we actually run it later this evening. Kevin's going to be filling in for me, obviously, since I'm working this morning. So I will catch you guys tomorrow, probably at my normal time. All right, take care.